We're going to start at the bottom. Sorry, my husband's in the kitchen. I hope you can't hear too much. We're going to start with this ring piece. Now, I'm going to ask that we don't have any questions until the end. You can always refer back to the video, but it's going to take me a while to show you how to do this one. So the first thing I'm going to do is a 1-by-1 chain that I'm going to, you just sort of measure your finger, and it can go on any finger. I like it on the middle finger usually. So you just want to measure your finger, and you want it a little bit bigger, maybe 4 rings larger than your finger width or round. Okay, so let's start with that. If you're following along, I'm just going to grab my rings and start. And as you can see, I can still see okay. Oh, I have to switch my camera. Sorry, this is a little difficult because it's not popping up the way it should normally. Okay, and there's my clicky, so you know I closed my ring well. I'm not going to be too terribly concerned about my closing rings right now. We'll just get this piece started. I want to get as much done in the 1.5 hours as we can. So just do maybe 1.5 inches to 2 inches, I say, would be good for this. Okay. And just quickly. Oh, my pliers are in my way. Now, if you're following along, we need a lot of our little rings closed for the next part. So with this, I'm going to show you how to do the ring part, the wrist part, and then we're going to start on the center. The center is really just one line after the other of the same thing. So once you get a couple of lines done with me, you'll be able to finish it off. It's very simple from that point, and I'll explain the end of it as well. It's just this is a really long piece to do, and I don't want you just sort of, oops, flying my ring. That's why we call them jump rings, right? I don't want you to really feel that you needed me to be on for, 2 or 3 hours. I think you'll be fine with the video. Whoop. And just the little rings are the bane of my existence right now. Sorry, guys. Okay. Come on. And we're just going to do this one a single row, so 1-by-1. And these are my 532 rings. You know, my favorite rings are 532. I use them in so many projects. The other one that I use a lot are the 1/4 inch, which are the 2 that we're using today. And let's see, I've got, oh, that's a bad ring. That one felt like it was all broken already. Might have been an end of a line one. So our Monday class, and we are back to Mondays again, is the ring making class. And not this kind of ring, but your fashion rings. It's always a fun class because I come up with something different, I think, every time I teach it. I thought we could redo it, that and the earring class from Tuesday. I know I've done them a couple of times already, but we had so many new people join the group that I thought we could do it over again. So I'm just gonna finish this up, and then we're gonna start with large and small rings. Now to save time, I may just do it a single ring at a time, but you're doing double. So I'll explain it as I go, and oops, I might just do it, I might cheat just so that you can get more done, but I'll tell you when you're doubling them. And sorry, my hands are in the way. I'm just trying to balance everything here. So I've got, you know, a good probably 1.5 inches, 2 inches here. Check it. I need about another inch or so, so probably about 6 more rings. So now the bracelet part is the large rings and the small rings, just to keep it in the same look. We want continuity in the style. Okay. So once we have this small piece done, we can start attaching bigger rings to another piece so that we can make the bracelet. The bracelet, again, is very simple. All it is a large ring, a small ring, actually 2 large together, then 2 small, just to keep it looking the same as the hand flower itself. We want to do it around the entire wrist. I will only do part of it today. We'll see how much. I want to do as much of the hand part as I can. So you all know how to join rings together. I'm not worried about that. So that should be close to what I need. All right, so when you can, put it around your finger and have it meet up. So I still need a few more rings. That's the right length. I can't give you measurements because everybody's fingers are different. So just do it a little bit larger than your finger because you want it to come up towards your knuckle. So around the finger and then up a little bit into a point. Wrong one. Okay. My pliers keep slipping here. You're not hearing clicking, Vera. There we go. Vera was teasing me that she'd know if I was closing my rings right or not because she'd hear my clicking, because I always click them together when they're closed. Okay, so that should be good for mine. Maybe 1 or 2 more. There's clicking. So I'm not really worrying about how well my rings are closed today. You will be. You will make sure that your rings are closed perfectly, as usual. Okay, so let's just test it again. And yeah, that one comes around my finger and I can join it. All right, so now I take 2 more and I'm going to join this as a ring. So I'm going to put 1 more on and then join it. Oops. That ring was already closed. I have to find the opening. There we go. Every once in a while, I find one that I was working on a project with before that I had to have a bunch of closed rings and it's already perfectly closed and I have to open it again, but that's okay. All right. So from here, I'm going to join the 2 ends. So on that one. And now the trick to this, oh, sorry, I was out of screen, is to make sure that it's not all twisted. So try and keep it nice and straight. Bring your last one up and join it and close. Okay. So now it doesn't matter where you grab it at this point, but I do have it in my pliers right here. You're going to add 2, maybe 3 small rings to that one to form like a Y. So we have our ring, and then we're coming off of the ring with 2 or 3, let's do 3 small ones. And then we'll start on to the big ones. Come on. One. Two, and one more. And then we're going to start with a couple of the bigger rings. Now this is where I was saying I want to double rings. So close that. Now I'm going to take 2 of my large rings. I'm going to put them through here, the end of my Y. So you see I have my ring and then a little strand. Oh, let me put this in better. I use my wire straightener to hold my tripod up as a tripod almost. Okay, so close that and double it. So we're always doubling these rings from this point on. The only point they're not doubled is around the finger, and that's just because it would be uncomfortable. Okay. Okay, so now that we're at, which side, there it is. Okay, so we're at this point. We're doing this. We're going to put a couple of double ring, or 2 doubles, a double small ring, another set of doubles, and another set. So there's 3 sets of the large rings. Okay. So you add 2 small rings in between each of the large rings. So I put in for the November classes. Thursdays will remain chainmail, and we'll be doing some fun stuff on the Monday classes, including an old favorite, which is the Celtic weave bracelet. That's the 3-strand with crystals. It's a little different than the one we were doing, 5-strand with crystals. It's a little different than the one we did last time. And it's one of my favorites to do. Okay. So I have 2. Now when I'm putting the big ones, I am sliding them through those 2 that I just put on the other ring. So just sliding them in there, hooking them, and closing. And remember, please let me know if I go out of screen. I'm trying to keep it in, but you know, as the bracelet grows, I tend to hold it higher. Okay, and without Mobiusing it, which is just getting them hooked together, you're going to hook through those 2 small ones again. And repeat. So I'm going to put 2 small ones on these 2, and then 2 large, 2 small, 2 large. And then we'll start the hand flower part. The bracelet itself is such a simple weave, but I will show you in a minute how to do it. I want to get the hand flower part started, and then we'll put this down and we'll do the other part. And I'll explain the math. There is a lot of math in this one, but it's 2s and 2s, so you don't have to worry. Move that over so you don't hook it. There we go. And now I have 2 on there. I'm going to add my 2 large. Now, if you want at this point, you can have your small ones closed and just put them on here before closing. But I'm okay just doing them one at a time. When I teach the Japanese 12 and 2, I always have my little rings closed and we just add them on. But I find with this piece, because it's tapered and it goes into a point, like a pyramid, triangular shape, it's a little more difficult to have that. And I find that rather than do all the math of figuring out how many rings you need on each one, it's just as easy to do it row by row. Okay, so this is the piece for the finger, and then the rest is for the hand. So on this set, the last set of 2, did we go through? Okay, no, I missed one, sorry. No, it went through. Okay, so I'm going to put on 4 of my small ones. Okay. And the reason is, and I will show you on the sample one that I have here, we're going to build this out from this point, and we're going to go 1 more large set of rings each time. And in order to get that, we need, that's the wrong size, we need 4 on this ring. Let me get the 4 on, and then I'll show you with the sample. That one looks a little bigger. Let me just see. Yeah, that one's a bigger size ring, sorry. They do get mixed in every once in a while. Okay, 1 more, and then we'll show you the sample, and I'll explain what I'm doing with the 4. Okay, just going to set that right there. Okay, so from the finger, we come up, and sorry about the glare on the camera. I'm hoping that doesn't affect it too much. We're at this point, and we put on 4 little ones. So we want to do our next row as 2 large ones. So we have 2 of the small going to this ring, 2 of the small going to that ring. So every time we're adding a row, we're going 2, 4, 6, 8. So each of these rings on each row will have 4 rings added to it. So each of the large rings has 4 rings added to it, plus we're joining them on the side. So if you want to figure it out, I'm going to put on this set right here, the first of the 2, and I'm going to add 2 closed ones to it, so that when I hook through this 2, this set of 2, and I have that set of 2 on, close it, then I can add this set of 2, hooking through that and those to join it. And then I'm still going to add 4 closed on each of the rings at the top. You can add them beforehand, but I think it gets a little bit distracting having that many closed rings on there. So we're just going to do this one. I've added the 4, the 2 for here and 2 for here. This one, I'm going to add 2 to join those 2 in that row, and we're going to slip it through 2 of these. Okay, I hope that's clear. Okay, so flip it upside down so my rings fall the right way. I'm going to close 2 rings so I can add them on. One, clasp. And I have lots more rings right here. I just grabbed out a little handful of each, but okay. So now I'm going to open my big one. I'm going to put on those 2 little ones. Maybe pick them up. That'll be easier. 1 and 2. And then I'm going to take 2 that are on this bottom ring. I'll slide through those 2. Okay, so I have the 2 closed ones and the 2 from the previous ring, and I'm closing. Now you want to double this, so there's 2 through there. For time's sake, I'm just going to do 1. Okay, I'm going to do a single of each of these large ones just to save time, but you're doing 2 on each stop. So now this one does not need any closed rings on it. You grab, oops, this is the difficult part for me. You grab those 2 closed ones. I may have to hold them better. Okay, and these 2 closed ones. Okay, so that's what I'm doing now. Okay, and this is going to be closed. You double that ring up, and then I'm going to add 4 of the little rings to each of these 2 big ones. Okay, so let's set that aside for a moment and go to the bracelet part. So that's our finger part. This is our bracelet part. You can see it's so simple. All it is, you're just doing 1 strip of the 2 large, 2 small, 2 large, 2 small. Okay. When you get to the center, just keep going. You don't have to do it any differently. So this will fit around your wrist with a little bit hanging over, just so that it's easier to attach. But we're just going to do 1 by 2 or 2 by 2 with the 2 different size rings. So I have a clasp here. I'm just going to pop that on. If I can maneuver it. This might be too small a clasp for this piece, but I just happen to have one in that bag, so. Okay, so the first one, of course, on the clasp has to be a single because you can't get 2 rings through. So a single, and then we're going to do 2 of the small rings. Okay. Now I will open it up. Any questions so far? No? Okay. So this is one that you really do have to have the recording and just watch it a couple of times to get going. It's step by step, but you do need the steps. Okay, so now that I have my 2 on there, and I'm just going to do single rings again so we can get through as much as possible, but you're doing double. Okay, slide that ring through those 2 small ones and close it. And then you're doubling it. You're putting 2. The other class that I think is going to be an hour and a half is the Vampire Kiss one, because we're stringing a bit, so I think it's going to take us a little bit longer. Okay, so we're just going along like this, just simple 1, 2, or 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Okay. Okay, 1 and then 2. And then a large. And I'm going to say it every time, I think. Remember that you're doubling the large ones as well. I'm sorry, I can't read what is on the chat. Okay, so you're doubling each big one. I just want to save time so that we can get through the class. Maybe I should just do one of the small ones too to get it done. Let's try that. Okay, so I'm going to do one of the small ones, one of the big ones, but you're doing 2 of each. Okay. I just want to make sure that you get the whole pattern down. And it is a longer pattern, so, but this will free me up to do it faster. And if you want to have all your small rings closed, it's very simple to slip them onto your large rings as you're going. That's generally how I do it. So we're just going to keep going. I'm going to make the bracelet length, just like I did the finger length. And then we'll start back in on the hand flower portion. Come on, just one. Okay. There's some that are very open already, so. And remember, please let me know quickly if I'm going out of camera camera range, just because I'm watching my hands, not the video. And it's easily fixed. I can move my camera up a bit. Okay, and you see how quickly this is going. It is a little bit slower when you're doing double rings, but take your time, enjoy it. You know how much I love chainmail. I'm just trying to incorporate as much knowledge without the time. Okay. So if you were using closed 532s, you would put one on each time before you close this. That way it's ready to have the next one, next large ring, go through it. Now you notice I keep my pliers in my hands at all times. If you can get into that practice, it really saves time when you're weaving because you're not picking up and putting down. So my pliers just sort of become part of my hand, I find. Have the calluses to prove it too. Just saves you time. You'll get used to it. A lot of people hold them like this to work, which I haven't mastered. So upside down working. I think it's more for lefties. But you'll find that, you know, if you move your pliers around, try different ways of holding them, you'll find one that you really love and it works for you. And that's
how come you are not using bend nose plier?
Which kind?
Bend nose plier.
I don't really use those unless it's for something in tight. So if I've done a Byzantine weave and I've made a mistake or a ring gets scratched, which it happens to all of us, I'll use bent nose pliers to get in there. But no, flat, plain straight nose pliers are just as good. I own a few pair of bent nose, including Xuron, but no, they're not my favorite. You like them though, right, Jaga?
I like it. I like
yeah.
that.
Well, I learned from...
Easy on my hand, that's why.
Oh, okay. Yeah, see, these pliers fit my hands so perfectly, I couldn't ask for a better pair. I learned with these. These are the ones that Michelle Brennan from Hyperlink uses. And the very first time I picked up pliers to do chainmail was with Michelle at, what's that festival? It used to be Fabric, now it's everything. Used to be down at the convention center downtown. Anyways, there was a big festival for crafts and she was there and it was like $5. You sit down, you make a pair of earrings, and I was hooked. And that was the first chainmail I ever did. And from then on, I loved it. And I still have those earrings. They were little snowmen. Doing Mobius with the rings, 3 different size rings, and you made a pair of snowman earrings. Now, one of the classes that we're doing in November is a class on making ornaments. Now, the ornaments are for Christmas, of course, but you can also just do them for any occasion by doing them in different colors. We have 3 different ones that I'll be teaching in the hour. And it's all really using techniques that I've already taught you and just showing you how to use them to make an ornament. So we'll make 3 different ornaments and using 3 different techniques. So if you don't want to do one of them, you can still tune in and do the other 2. I'll have samples of them up soon.
Lori?
Yes.
What's the size of the ornaments?
About yay big, 5 inches.
Ooh, good. Oh, nice.
Yeah, well, the 2 are. The third is maybe 2 or 3 inches.
So I'm assuming we're going to need a lot of product. Can you post that online so that we can?
It's all stuff you'll probably already have. We use the kumi to make one. We use, let's see, what's the second one? Oh, wire, 18 gauge wire and beads for the second one. And the third one is Helms weave chainmail. So you already have the sizes and everything. The only other thing you'll need, and I didn't put it on the list when I booked it, is thin ribbon to hang them on the tree. But
Okay.
I've done these classes in my home. I had an open house one time where you could bring your kids and you could make ornaments. And, you know, this one was, I had them all priced out at per ornament. And so the parents could do as many or as few as they wanted. They could make one with me and then go and buy their own supplies and make the rest. But it was so much fun. It was such a fun day. And it was just sort of a drop-in. I had maybe 6 or 7 different ornaments they could do that day, but we're going to stick to 3. Okay, so this is getting there. Another few rings and we should be fine. And then we'll start back on the other piece. Now remember that all of these rings that I'm putting in singles are actually doubled. Okay, just trying to save time here. So yeah, the ornament one I think is going to be fun. We're going to do a few more new chainmail weaves, including the Celtic Vision, which is a favorite. It's very pretty and very versatile. And if you can do Helms weave, you can do it. So there are other ornaments that I do generally teach, but you need more supplies, and I don't want to pressure everyone to go and get a lot of supplies. These ones I chose because we've already done the basis of it in different classes, so you should really have the supplies already. That's how I was trying to judge which ones to do. Okay. So I'm going to do a couple more rings and then we're going to call that done. And we'll go back to our other piece. Okay, so that's our bracelet, the bracelet piece. Okay, so on here, when we have the 2, can you guys see that okay? I don't know if it's focusing in very well. All right, so we have the 2, we need to add 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, 4 closed rings to each of those large rings. And remember, these rings are doubled. I'm going to add 2 and 2 just to save time, but you're always adding double. So mine will be a little flimsier just because I'm trying to get as much done as we can. Come on, please. Now with this part, you're adding one large ring each row. And when you get to where you want it on your hand, that's when you join it to the bracelet. So I'm going to do as many rows as I can, and then I'm going to pretend that it's at the length I want, and we'll add it to the bracelet. There we go. Come on. So I need 2 closed on each of these. You need 4. The pliers keep sliding down in my hand here. They don't normally. I don't know what I'm doing different today. So I'm not using my jumbo rings today to show you because they're just a bit too big for this project to show you. But if we need to, I will. Okay. So now we're going to add 3 rings because we have 2 here, 2 large ones. We're going to add 3. So move this over here so I'm not grabbing it. We take our first one and we pick up 2 rings. Okay, so I'm just picking up 1. I keep saying it, but we'll keep saying it. Then you add on. Okay, let's just close it. We're not going to add on closed rings at this point. We'll just put the rings on. Okay, I think it gets a little tricky with the math of how many rings to add each time. So what you need is that one, and then the next one, the center of the 3 rings goes through a set of rings on the first one. Okay, so let me just grab it. Come on, please. Set of rings on the first one, and a set of rings on the second one. So you're going through 2 and 2. Okay, close it. Okay, and then we're taking the third ring is going through that last one. Okay. Oops, dropped that one. We'll find it later. Surprised none of the cats ran over for it. They probably knew it was a ring and not a bead. Okay, so this one's just going through that final one. Let me just get it to slide in. Okay, slipped one the wrong way. There it is. Okay. Sorry, guys. Right, so that's my 2. This is my 3. Oh, you know what I'm missing? I need to join the 2 together so they stay in place. So of the 3 that I'm doing now, I'm going to put a set of rings between them, joining those 2 rings. That way it holds it all together, and you're doing 2, I'm just doing 1. Okay, so it holds it in place. So I can go back and add the 3rd ring, and it goes through this one. Okay. So if you're not putting the rings in the right order, it does make it a little loose. So now this one is going to get a single ring or a double ring with the one next to it. Okay. And then we have 1, 2, 3 sets. Just going to lay it down so I can get the ring through properly, and I'll lift it back up for you. Hoping I can get enough stiffness through these rings at this point that you'll be able to see it well. So I'm going through the end one and the middle one, and I'm closing it, and I'm doing that twice. And then you can see I have 3, 2, and 1. The next row we're going to do 4. So we're going to put 4 on this ring, 4 on this ring, and 4 on this ring. I'm just going to do 2 and 2 and 2 so that I can save time. So let's add those now. So each time you're doing a new row, you're adding 4 to each of the rings there. And that will make it so that you can join the next row on. That's 1, 2. And try to keep your pliers out of the way. I may have to get more rings out. We'll see how it goes. 2 on there, and then 2 on the end one. Which end? This end. It flips over on me, so I don't know until I look again which end I need to work from. There's no front and back to this piece, so you can switch it around any way you'd like. You can use colored rings on this as well. So if you want to do one row in, you know, one color, one row in another, you can make a really pretty piece. Okay. All right, so I have my 2 rings on each of those. You'll have 4. I'll just keep repeating it, I know. Now I'm going to close 2, 4, 6 rings, 6 small rings, because I'm going to slide them on as I go. So two, they're all jumbled together here. I'm trying to get a single out. 3. If I'm only doing singles, then I only need 1, 2, 3, 4, I think. Let me just, I'll close 4 and we'll start. So what I'm going to do is from these 3, I already have the 2 hanging. I'm going to grab one of my large rings, open it, pick up. I'm picking up 1, but you're picking up 2. And you're going to go through one of these, the outside ring, small ring, just like so. Okay, you don't want to go through the inside one, that's for the next ring. So we're going to close this. And I'm going to pick up another large ring. A lot of these are open from our last project. I like to have them open when I'm doing the, what is it, full Persian, just makes it easier. Okay, so pick up one of your small rings, go through the small ring on that one that you just added, and there's 2, remember, and through the small ring on the one next to it. I'm just trying to maneuver it over. I don't want to pick up both this time. Okay, so I have the 1 ring from the newest one that I added and 1 ring from the row back. I'm going to close that. And now I want to move the single ring that's not attached to anything over. Okay, I'm going to grab another large ring. Dump all those other ones off of it. Grab one of my small rings that I closed. Dump it on. And then again, I'm just picking up from the previous ring, the single, and then going down here, picking up a single here. I think I may have missed it. I'm just going to add it here. Sorry. It was there, but I joined it in the other one. So rather than go back, I'm just going to add another one here. Okay. So all you're doing is that same thing the whole time. You're picking up the one from your previous ring. Okay, like so. Then you're going to the row below it and picking up one. Well, you're picking up two. Okay. There. Okay, and then we're joined to that one. We need to join to the next one as well on the bottom, on the row previous. Okay, and close. Okay, let's try that again and close. There we go. All right, so I'm going to finish off this row by just taking an open large, putting on a closed one, put it here, closed small one, and now you're picking up the one that you left on that last one, and from these two, okay? So now we have 3 on there. We're going to add one more after this. The next one does not need a closed ring added to it because it's not grabbing anything on the other side. So let me just lay this out. I have 3, 3. This is where it gets so tricky at this point because you're trying to weave it over one. Okay, so I do have 4 on there, on 3. Okay, so you're just going exactly like that. All right, let me show you on here. You can see how many rings you end up with when you have it doubled. So I've done the strip with the finger hold. Oh, sorry. It's just a triangle, so either way. So the strip with the finger hold, I've gone up 3 double large ones, and then 2, and then 3, and then 4, all the way up. And when I'm joining it on, I'm just checking the time, all I'm doing is I'm going to hang, once I get it to the right height, I'm going to hang from the wrist part 4 rings on each of those rings, hanging down. And I'm just scooping them as I go with the last row. Okay? So this, I'm going to show you how it looks so far. I think I made it big enough on my finger. So because I went up a few rows, I don't want very much on here. I think maybe 2 more rows, and then I'm going to join this in. Now I'm making it a lot simpler for you during the class just so that you can get the whole thing in. But you put as many rows up as you want. If you want your wristlet up, up this high, then you'll need 1, 2, 3, probably 4 more sets of rows. Okay? Each row, you're just adding 1 more large ring to that row. So it starts as 1, 2, 3, 4, up to, I think I had 8 or 9 in mine. Let's see. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. That was right. So the top row, where my wristlet is the 9. Okay. So if I wanted to make it bigger than this, if I wanted to keep going, I would just take these 2 end pieces off and add another row. That's what I did when I was making it, because I finished it down here and I put it on and it just didn't look finished. It didn't cover enough of my hand. So I took it apart and added 2 more rows and joined it again with the extra pieces. So any questions? Let's check with everybody. Is anyone trying to follow along? I know it's a really intricate pattern.
No, I'm just watching.
Okay.
I will do it later.
Yeah, I think this is one where you need to just watch. I hope I'm explaining it well enough while I'm going.
It looks easy.
It is. I know it looks so difficult when you see this piece, but it's really, really easy. And, you know, I don't even know if we'll need the whole extra half hour. You can see how it's joined. You can see if you want to make something else, you can make, you know, a bra for Carnival, add some little details. They do make them. I have a friend that makes a lot of clothing for Carnival with these rings. Okay, so let's keep going. I'm just going to try and get this straightened out again so I can see it well. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to add 5. You know what? I think we're good. I think you've got the main part of it. Just keep adding one more row. What you do is on the single row, you add 4 closed rings. Oops, 4 closed rings. On the next row where there's 2, you're joining 2 closed rings into the center of the 2, and you're putting 4 at the top of each one. On the third ring, 3 sets, you're closing 2 rings in between those 2 of the 3, like in the center of each of them, and you're joining them onto, the end one just gets joined once, the center one gets joined twice, and the end one gets joined once. And it just keeps going like that. All of the center ones are joined to 2. So 1 on either side of them. Okay, that's it. I think we're good. Any other questions? I think we're good with the 1 hour. If you want me to keep going, we can work on that, but how are you feeling? Do you think you can do it with what I've shown so far?
I think I'm okay.
Yeah? I thought it would take me longer, but I think it's a pretty self-explanatory one once you get a couple of rows. Okay, I'm just going to switch cameras here. Oh yay, it did it right away for me. I didn't even have to fight. There we go. All right, so sorry, Joanna, I keep adding a L in there. We really don't need the extra half hour today. I'm really surprised. You know, of course, if you have any questions later on, you can always get in touch with me. And are there any other questions? Ladies, Brian?
No, thank you very much, Lori.
You're welcome. It's a really fun pattern.
Yeah.
You can do so much with the Japanese 12-2 style. There's a pattern going around that's a Ruth Bader Ginsburg collar, and it uses a lot of this. It's really pretty. I think I might just attempt one. Okay. So our upcoming classes, we're learning Byzantine, which I will use the big rings for. We're doing the Byzantine variation of Romanov, which is really a lovely, lovely piece. I don't have it out here. I cleaned everything off of the dining room table for Thanksgiving, and I'm just bringing it out by tray for each class, just to keep my mess down to a minimum. Kind of took over the whole place, you know. So the Romanov is so lovely, and you can do it with or without the crystal in the center. The crystal doesn't have to be a crystal, Brian. It can be a stone, just a 6 millimeter. I know you don't like working with crystals much, so. And then November, I've got a few classes coming in. Well, the Monday and Thursday still. The only one I'm doing over again is the Celtic weave bracelet, which everybody seems to like. And I think it's a good one to keep reminding you how to do it. So the rest will be, I think I've got a 3-strand necklace down so you can learn how to do staggered pieces. so they hang properly. I think that's one of them. I have to go over my list. I did it like last week and then just totally forgot what I was going to do. But the ornaments I know I have. And we're booking as well into December. I think we're off. I think we're only booking in the first 2 weeks of December. I don't know. Joanna?
Yes,
Oh.
so for December, we are booking only the first 2 weeks, and then I
Okay.
believe we're back maybe the second week of January.
Okay. I saw there was a blank on the calendar, so I assumed it was closed for the Christmas and winter break.
Yeah.
So you'll have to do without me for a few weeks, guys. Sorry. All right. If there's no questions,